back to our breaking news, though, on Kristaps Porzingis. The Celtics say Porzingis has suffered a torn medial retinaculum, allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon in his left leg during the third quarter of Game 2. As you can see here, this is Porzingis just moments ago walking on the court without any visible signs of injury at media availability. But for more deciphering on what exactly this injury means, here's Stefania Bell. And Stefania, what is this injury and what can the future hold for Kristaps Porzingis? Can he play with it?
Starting, Chiney, with what it is, the posterior tibialis is a muscle that sits very deep in the calf, below the calf muscles. The tendons attach muscles to bone. That's how you get the joints to move. The posterior tibialis tendon runs from deep around the inner ankle bone. So it runs through a groove and attaches to the bones of the foot. Now, the medial retinaculum is a sheath of tissue that basically helps keep that tendon in place because it's taking a hard right angle. So when the ankle moves, it would be unstable were it not for that piece of tissue. Well, when it tears, then the tendon can sublux or move in and out of place. The question is, will it be so painful if it continues to move around that he's unable to perform, or will the tendon stay relatively stable and he could be able to function? That's the part we don't know.
What are some of the things you can look at from 1 and 2 and say we're confident in this?
Just trying to keep getting open looks. I think our defense has not been bad, but just we can't really score. That's our main problem right now. But I think we're getting some great looks. And like I said, you know, we have confidence that everybody can make a shot that's shooting the ball in our team. So we just got to keep believing it.
You know, being back in Boston, there's such a level of desire that I have inside of me to play well and wanting to be there for my teammates. So as a competitor, it's frustrating, but I don't want to let that seep in or spill over to any other decisions I have to make there as a player, and continue to feed my teammates confidence. You know, I have been down 0-2 before, lost a series, won a series. So I know what it takes, and also understanding, you know, how to prepare for something like that mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically.
Game 3 is just over 24 hours away, and it's a must-win situation for Luka, Kyrie, and the Mavs. But if they want a chance to get back in the series, they will have to be better on both ends. And that all starts with Luka Doncic. Look at this. On defense, look at this number. Luka was blown by on 13 drives that he defended in Game 2. The most allowed by any player in a playoff game in the last 10 years. So let's take it to the court as I show you what he needs to improve on. So here his matchup is Jason Tatum. You reach, I teach. That forces the defense to collapse. And then here, one blow by leads to multiple as Jrue Holiday is able to score. Again, here's the matchup. Tatum, he's just a little bit slower, reaches again. That forces a collapse on the defense. And then he's able to do and one, son. And last but not least, I love this possession if you're Celtics offense. He forces some contact. Unfortunately, there's another blow by. That's ball movement. Look at time and score. Second quarter, leading into half, trying to steal the momentum. And Jrue Holiday was the guy of Game 2. But all of the blame certainly does not fall on Luka's shoulders. Tough stat right here as well. Kyrie Irving has allowed nearly as many points as he has scored thus far in the first 2 games of the finals. And here's how the Celtics have slowed him down in the half court. So if you watch Kyrie, he initiates the offense here. There's great defensive pressure. It's Jrue Holiday, who's won games for them in the postseason with the defense. He blows by, he stays on his back, but he stays on balance. That's what Jrue does. And then the help side defense of Jaylen Brown is ready to provide that defensive energy as well. Again, Derek White guarding this time, and I love how they switch. This is what the Celtics are known for. Switch once, switch back twice. Here, the help side is there. Al Horford, who has been a great defender so far, has been able to alter that shot by Kyrie Irving. Now, if the Mavs are going to get back in this series, they're going to need much more from Kyrie Irving. Truly, he's 8th in the series in terms of scoring, behind 6 different Celtics starters, as well as his own teammate, P.J. Washington.
Kyrie has obviously got to do better, primarily because I think that Luka is wearing out a little bit. Tim McMahon and Malika Andrews reported earlier today that Luka was actually getting a pain-killing injection in his chest right before Game 2 to deal with that thoracic contusion. And you know that those don't last forever. And so in the fourth quarter of Games 1 and 2 combined, Luka is 2 of 10. What does this have to do with Kyrie? This means Kyrie has got to be a little bit more effective earlier in the game so that Luka can save his energy. Now, this is something that has been something the Mavericks have been dealing with in their strategy throughout the postseason. They have tried to find ways to save Luka's energy, and that has oftentimes meant a little bit more of Kyrie controlling the ball early in games, trying to squeeze a minute or two of extra rest for Luka in the first half. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to that. And especially, you just illustrated, Chiney, how all those pick and rolls are being expertly defended by the Celtics. It wouldn't stun me if the Mavericks, seeing as Kyrie is one of the best isolation players in the history of the game, go back to more isolation, or have Kyrie bring the ball up and play true point guard a little bit more to ease the burden on Luka. These are things that they can make little moves that can sort of free Kyrie. And of course, if you get Kyrie freed up, you can then potentially generate stuff for some other players. They've totally cut off the corner three and totally cut off the lob, and that's affected those role players' production.
Andrea, you know I have to go there. You're a guard. Is it going to be easier for Kyrie knowing that there's no Kristaps Porzingis in front of you?
Yeah, well, it's definitely something to consider, right? Kristaps Porzingis isn't in the inside. He isn't down in the paint. So maybe I can get that floater off. We saw Kristaps Porzingis literally block a floater while moving backwards. He stops on a dime and blocks that Kyrie floater that we've seen Kyrie hit multiple times. So of course, if you're Kyrie, if I'm in his shoes, which I would be nowhere close to being able to do what he's able to do out there on the floor.
You're pretty good, Andrea.
You have to think, I can get into my bag a little bit more without Kristaps' length and athleticism and presence on the inside. And the answer to your original question, Chiney, as far as who needs to get going, what I think is getting Kyrie going gets everybody else going. That's the thing. Like, one leads to another. Of course, they both have to happen, but you have a better shot at starting with Kyrie, letting him get in his bag, and it opens everything else up, takes some pressure off of Luka, like Wendy just said, but opens everything else up for everyone else. Because once Kyrie starts to get in his bag, it's not just scoring. We've seen him be a facilitator. At times in game 1 and 2, it looked like he was uncomfortable just dribbling the ball, right? He's fumbling it. He's losing the basketball. Just that control of the ball, handling that pressure so far up, handling that full court pressure, getting downhill, creating for his teammates. All of those things help open up for the Dallas Mavericks. It has to start with Kyrie, of course, outside of Luka.
I know there's a multitude of players that can improve, so let's put our name on it. It's now time for Setting the Pick, brought to you by ESPN Bet, the official sports book of ESPN. Let's start with Kyrie Irving. He has yet to knock down a three-pointer this series after averaging over 2.5 made tray balls through the first 3 rounds. Andrea, do you think he's going to hit more or less than 2.5 threes in game 3?
You know, I'm a big fan of regressing to the mean or progressing to the mean, so I'm going to say he hits more. I think he's going to come out. He's over as far as game 1 and game 2 go. We've seen him hit a multitude of threes against the Timberwolves. They have a lot of length on the perimeter. They have a lot of length on defense. I think he comes out at home, finds his shot. He gets 3 or 4 threes in game 3.
That's true. Let's see. I'm right there with you. Let's shift it back to Luka. Dallas may need more from him than ever in game 3. He has yet to take over 26 shots in the playoffs. Should he be shooting for more than that number or less, Brian?
I think probably more, although we admit that he's a little bit banged up here. He even said in his media session just a short time ago, they can't score. I mean, look they had 89 points in game 1, 95 points in game 2. This is basic analysis. They need more points. He was routinely taking over 30 shots in the Western Conference Finals. Needs to do it again.
To the C's, Jason Tatum has led the Celtics in rebounds and assists so far this series, but has yet to post a team high in terms of point total. Andrea, will he be Boston's leading scorer in game 3?
This one is so tricky, Chiney, because Boston has shown they have success no matter who the leading scorer happens to be. I do think Jason Tatum is going to get in his bag as well. Duke is going to love me for this. Kyrie gets more, Jason Tatum gets more, and is the team's leading scorer. He gets in his bag in game 3. He did it in the Indy series.
How about Jaylen Brown? He's led the team in scoring so far this series, although it was Drew Holiday who posted a team high 26 in game 2. Both have been getting it done on the defensive end as well. But Brian, who has been the real MVP so far?
I got Drew Holiday because he's been a big part of slowing down Kyrie Irving. He's been terrifically efficient. He's been the perfect yin and yang to Jason Tatum. He's getting double teamed. He's coming in and scoring off those passes in the post. Drew Holiday, number one in plus minus in the team too.
NBA